Jenna Ortega gets so much undeserved media backlash, it seems. So first they were mad at her because she didn't let them ruin the Wednesday series by making it cringy. So she changed her own lines in the middle of filming. And then they were mad at her because she smokes cigarettes. And I'm sure I've missed at least 5 other controversies in the meantime. But now they're mad at her because she has talked about the problem of political correctness in Hollywood. And this is a result of her co-star on Scream 7 getting fired after posting about her thoughts on the conflict in Israel and Palestine. Jenna Ortega has posted in support of Palestine in what is an increasingly tense moment in Hollywood. Her co-star Melissa Barrera was fired from the 7th installment of the Scream franchise over her posts likening Gaza to a concentration camp. And I looked into a thread. I found she had posted about this literally hundreds of times.
So it wasn't just passing comments, it was becoming her entire social media presence.
Very vocal about it. And that's whether that's appropriate for her public standing and her affiliation with these other companies is another conversation. But the production company associated with the movie said, "We have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide, ethnic cleansing, Holocaust distortion, or anything that flagrantly crosses the line into hate speech." Jenna Ortega was not fired at the time that Melissa Barrera was, but people did make demands for her to step down from the movie. She ended up having to leave the project for scheduling reasons.
I don't think she should have had to leave the movie.
Other people assumed that she left the project because she was trying to stand in solidarity with her co-star without overtly saying so. But they asked her for a clarification on what happened there. And she told Vanity Fair, "The business we work in is so touchy-feely. Everybody wants to be politically correct, but I feel like in doing that, we lose a lot of our humanity and integrity because it lacks honesty. I wish that we had a better sense of conversation. Imagine if everyone could say what they felt and not be judged for it. And if anything, it sparked some sort of debate, not an argument." And she said, "Am I describing world peace?"
It's
yes,
this
that's
is
never
one of those
going to
things
happen.
where like the idea that you're not going to be judged for it is ridiculously utopian and childish. But the rest of it, I agree with the spirit of what she's saying.
I think what she meant to say is like, wouldn't it be nice if we could have whatever political views we wanted to in Hollywood specifically without getting unofficially or officially blacklisted or fired and having our entire livelihoods put at risk. I don't know if she is saying that because she has personal experience with it.
This is one of the hardest topics to broach when it comes to these celebrities, right? Because a lot of people take the simple approach. Celebrities should just shut up, dance, monkey, just act. A lot of people say that, right? They don't think they should have political opinions at all.
They have good reasons to say that.
And I think that is, for the most part, the most practical response you could approach to your job, but it kind of disabuses you of the notion that celebrities are people too and they have their own opinions. So the question is, when does a celebrity learn to embrace the capitalistic side of their business over their political beliefs? And I don't think you should lose your job just because you have a fervent desire to talk about Israel and Gaza. But at the same time, you have to understand that the producers aren't taking the First Amendment approach. They're taking the I'm trying to make the most money possible approach. And what you're doing here is putting our movie at risk. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know if I buy that her posting a bunch about Israel and Gaza is going to prevent people from going to see Scream 7.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that's totally made up out of thin air. But at the same time, have the practical context of the industry in which you work. You work in Hollywood. Do you think that the powers that be in Hollywood are sympathetic to Palestine? I don't think so.
I think that there's a mini civil war going on there right now between the next generation of actors who are very
the young libs versus the old libs.
So the new generation of actors are even more Marxist than their older counterparts, and everyone is aware that there is a strong contingent of Jewish producers and actors in Hollywood that would take offense to her stance.
Old guard.
That's the old guard, right? So the question is, when do you buy into free speech and when do you not? I say let her say what she wants, but the producers clearly don't buy that.
Well, a lot of people took this comment that Jenna Ortega made in the interview to mean she wasn't siding with Melissa Barrera because, of course, it was taken out of context. And some people made it out like she was trashing Melissa Barrera. So some of these people said, just a reminder, Jenna immediately dropped Scream after finding out about Melissa being dropped. If you think she's siding with them and not with her, you're dumb. Another one said those losers already twisting her words, but if you actually read the article, you'd see that she's defending Melissa.
Yeah, she is.
I don't think that she is defending Melissa if she basically blamed leaving the project on like scheduling for Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we're talking about Jenna Ortega on a Wednesday.
Yes.
I just wanted to acknowledge that because it's funny.
I think what we're looking at here is Jenna Ortega is in the same camp as a Sydney Sweeney, who is learning, who has been very, very adept at understanding the business side of their industry, meaning when to speak, when not to speak, the measured response, and knowing who and when to work with. And at what time. Like, that's very important, especially if you want to. She's already come out and kind of walked back her initial producer comments. Remember that one that went viral last year where the producer like dunked on her for the comment she said about the writing?
Right.
About wanting the script change. She's an executive producer on the show now. She's working to bring herself to front office level of Hollywood just as much as the acting part.
Yeah, I think she didn't walk it back, but this is what she said about those comments. For context, it was last year, I think, she was giving press interviews for Wednesday, and she said that there was a really cringy line that they gave her for one of these scenes.
That she had
and she was like, I know this character of Wednesday Addams would never say something this cringy. I'm not going to say that on camera. So she changed it, and everybody was really satisfied with the outcome after she did that. So she felt like she had a right to do it. And some people said that she was an entitled brat for doing that, and that she should actually just say whatever lines were written for her and not make a bunch of demands. But ultimately, she was the one in the right in this situation.
Back in the day, I would have said that you should have trust in the writers.
No, the writers are so damn incompetent.
But the writers are so bad these days that you can't have trust in the writers. And also, the other thing that people would used to say about something like this is like, if you've played a character for 5-10 seasons, then you have an innate knowledge of the character that goes deeper than just the writing. So they like, look, I've been playing this character for 10 years. They wouldn't say that. So it's a little bit harder to buy that she would know it within the first 8 episodes, but she was right. Yeah. And a lot of times you're not judged on what your intent was, you're judged on the outcome, and the outcome was favorable to her.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Is the move. So here's what she said about, that situation, the firestorm that followed. She said, to be fair, I think I probably could have used my words better in describing all of that. Sometimes I am such a rambler. I think it was hard because I felt like had I represented the situation better, it probably would have been received better.
I think what we've learned is that even the most politically inclined actor can be liked by the masses if they have just a modicum of common sense. And I think her desire to create a good product that seems away from the typical identity politics endears her to people that might otherwise criticize her.
Right, but here's the catch about identity politics is she, in another part of this interview, talks about what it's like to be a Mexican in Hollywood. She says, Mexican people are considered a risk in Hollywood due to America's current socio-political climate. Reflecting on her incarnation of Wednesday Addams having Latino heritage, she asserted that the reason she particularly liked how her character's background was treated on the show was because it was not being shoved down your throat. There's nothing worse than when they have the side Mexican character who's carrying the flag on their shoulder. We're so much more than that. She noted then that in her experience, the fact that actors from her background can actually carry projects has not made it through studios' heads. There needs to be a little more faith in what we bring to the table. Maybe that means all of us banding together a little bit more and creating these projects for ourselves. I would love to be able to craft stories that show how powerful we can be.
She is solutions focused and not problem focused.
She also turned to the topic of she basically said that it's because of the socio-political climate that Hollywood is hesitant to put Mexican actors or actresses in lead roles to carry these projects, which I think is BS.
Yes.
But she attributed this to anti-immigrant sentiment in America, saying it's so corny, but in terms of the land of the free and the home of the brave, Mexican people are considered a risk. Even the term alien is insane when we're speaking about human beings. So
she's
lib.
showing her age there too.
She's a lib and she's a Gen Zer. Yeah. I don't think you can expect to hear any different from her. And, you know, maybe she, in a bit of a cynical way, is using her ethnic heritage to get ahead in Hollywood. I wouldn't blame her for doing that. And if I were in her position, I would probably do the same thing.
If I have to listen to the meanderings of a celebrity talking about these topics, I'm going to listen to her more than I'm going to listen to John Leguizamo.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay. And here's the thing. Do you want to be Sydney Sweeney or Jenna Ortega, or do you want to be Melissa Barrera and Rachel Zegler? Take your pick. Which way, Western women?
Do you want to be Jenna Ortega or Rachel Zegler? Like, that's really you have two paths in Hollywood. You can either be the annoying, entitled, indoctrinated, ideologically charged brat, or you can actually have some sense of the fact that this is a business. Yeah. And that you're not in theater in your high school anymore, and that there are actual millions of dollars at stake.
Yeah. That will endear you instantly to people who will otherwise disagree with you politically, as this entire segment seems to indicate to you.
So really, we are very tolerant.
Yes.
It's just some people test our patience.
The idea that you can't have common sense. It is always the fact that they ignore just how much money is at stake whenever this stuff gets made. It's like, if you were spending your own, and that's the point. She's saying maybe we have to band together and do it ourselves, right? Okay, that's fine. But if you're going to do that, then you cannot complain when it doesn't work. If you are going to tell those stories.
She's also, you know, made a lot of... She's made a name for herself very quickly. Yep. She's gained a lot of respect and credibility very quickly, especially for someone so young. And now she is going into the second season of Wednesday on Netflix as an executive producer. Like, that's impressive. And Sydney Sweeney seems to have the same level of ambition. And even if they're not the most incredible actors you've ever seen, they make up for it a lot in the fact that they have likable personalities.
I would be willing to bet that a large swath of Republicans and conservatives would be willing to forgive a lot of those liberal talking points if the person shows themselves to be a capitalist who wants to make money at her job. Like, that's a very endearing thing to people who still believe in the American dream and the idea of succeeding.
I mean, that used to be the norm.
Yes.
But she's a refreshing break from what the rest of the industry looks like right now, especially in her age group.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.